Aine kinechur keper Joseph. Ow. Ooh, almost. Khensu Keku. I am Mexican. I am Metapu. I am Makeu. Almost fucked up. Almost fucked up and said my actual name. Oh no. Almost said my magic name. You can never give that away. Never give that away. I'm so used to actually saying it like when I normally invoke my Godhead. So I like literally almost was like gave y'all one of the names. Like, oh shoot, hold on now. The good thing is, in ancient Kemet, you were known to have multiple names, and they all had different functions. So literally, just that name itself with that functionality, I would have had to like defunct that motherfucker, kill that motherfucker off, you know. Yeah, I actually am a little bit later. A little bit later. I mean, technically, everything I do is a ritual. That's what. Damn. That's one thing that I've my mindset has always been that type of concept that everything I do is a ritual. You know what I'm saying? Like me coming outside to do my actual lives is a ritual. Me saying what I say in the beginning to start my actual lives itself is a ritual. Everything is a ritual. You know, that's just the way the mindset of the true magician, or the mindset of that who has reached, of one who has reached what's known as the Godhead. You've pretty much ritualized everything you do, because if you do not do that, then basically what will happen is the stagnant energy will allow itself to be transmuted into something that you're not mastering, and then it becomes to master you. You see? So it's like when people, when people pray to God or things of that nature, if you don't actually, if somebody had to teach you what God is and you don't truly know what it is, then technically what you're doing is you're actually giving your energy to nothing. Not that you're giving your energy, I don't want to go that deep. I don't want to go that deep. It's not that you're giving your energy to nothing, because there is something there. Once you give something a name and an attribute, and then you start to give it energy, and then everybody else believes in it as well, it literally then becomes an entity. So what they're giving, what they're feeding, is just a parasite. That's all it is. It's a parasite. It's not even actually something else real. You know, it's like if I told y'all that I had everybody that has been seeing me for a while, they know I got my little statue. So imagine 100 years from now, instead of all the teachings, like all the people that I taught in my classes, imagine like instead of them being like, oh, well, Khensu said this, Khensu said this, Khensu said this, they was like, nah, Raketai said this. So now niggas is believing in the statue. You see what I'm saying? Now people are literally at this point being like, well, the statue. And they don't even know it's a statue. It's like they think it's a real person at this point. But because they've been so far removed from the methodology of the practicality of what's going down, they've been so far removed from the practicality of everything, they think that this is a real person. So that's what you get when you're running with Jesus, Paul, Mary, Adam, Eve. All these names are not people. They never existed. They were not historically people. They were technically cults in reality. And how we know this is because if you go to, I think the Temple of Solomon, they have, I forgot which, maybe not the Temple of Solomon. There's a temple where you go and they talk about like David, how they had conquered the house of David. So, the way it's listed, David would mean a group of people. like a bunch of niggas named David. You know what I'm saying? Like their last name was David or something of that nature. So it wasn't one person named David and all. Exactly. They're all concepts. The actual term is the word analogies. You know, none of these things were real. These were actual magical practices that have been forgotten because the people that's teaching them now are teaching them like they're human things. Smoke break on that one. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. And we talk about this in my class. The word weird. The word weird initially meant, which is spelled W-Y-R-D, which is also the same as the word word. The word weird itself initially meant they were three goddesses, and they were the goddesses of fate, destiny, and I guess you can call luck or chance, one of the two. So they were three goddesses, and they were spelled W-Y-R-D, and they were the Weird Sisters. Shakespeare, in one of his poems, called them, he said the Weird Sisters are very peculiar. And he spelt the word weird, W-E-I-R-D. And ever since then, people thought that that's actually what the word weird meant. Something strange, peculiar, out of the ordinary, but it actually means somebody who controls their fate. Has nothing to do with what you think it is. So what I'm saying is, basically, without understanding the etymology or the origin of things and the way it's actually practiced, an ignorant person can come through and fuck it all up for everybody. And then everybody else, because they're ignorant, will just follow along because they're sheep. So now you will call a person weird, like, oh, he's very weird. But literally, you think you dissing him, but you're really actually giving him a compliment, because that means they control their own fate. But because here's the reverse psychology of it, because they don't know it means that, they think they're getting dissed, but they're receiving a compliment. You see how that works? So we are moving. It's called, like, with the word retard. Retard means to literally move backwards your own learning process. That's what we're doing right now. Retarded stuff. We are moving backwards our own learning process because we're using the English language, which is a compilation of a whole bunch of other languages that, once you actually look at the etymology of everything, in reality, we have like thousands of words. There's probably like 200. There's probably like 200. Like, you could wrap up the whole English language in like 200 words if you were to look at like ancient Egyptian or anything like that. Like, everybody's like, oh, well, they had hieroglyphs. Yeah, but that was for magical purposes. The actual stuff, when they wrote in cursive to each other. So what we do now, they wrote like that. So we predate all those energies itself, and in understanding that, we are moving backwards our own process, and through that, you pretty much ain't going nowhere waiting on somebody else. Y'all like that song, sitting around waiting on the world to change. Okay, well, keep waiting. Keep on waiting. Smoke break somehow. I'll give you the perfect example. Think about Jesus for a second. The concept of Jesus, or the concept of the revelation, the concept of the ending of the world, the concept of the ascension. Think of all these concepts, right? And then think about the fact that, like, everybody's been waiting on it to happen, right? Okay? Now, think about your life for a moment. Just scan back your life And if you haven't experienced a lot of death, then that's fine. Me personally, I've experienced a lot. But just think about how many people have died that you know. And not, okay, let's go even deeper. Not even that you know, just famous people, just everybody. Think about all the people who have died in that time frame of your life. Okay? Grandparents, people like that. And then think about the fact that people are still waiting on these things to happen. You see what I'm saying? So basically what I'm saying in a nutshell is people have died and probably reincarnated just to wait again to die and reincarnate, just to continuously wait for something that's never going to happen anyway. It's just not how life works. It's just like in the non-commodity. In the non-commodity, which is the living teachings the teachings of the living Jesus. He says it clear. One of the disciples, I don't remember who it was. They say who it was. I think it was Shalom. I think he asked. I think he was like, "When will the new world come?" And he's like, and Yahashua said, "What you're looking for has already came. It's just that because you were looking for it, you just didn't see it." And then he says, he's like, it's not like it's gonna ever be announced to you, like, here it comes or there it is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm talking about. It's not like the ascension is gonna come and we're gonna just be like, oh, here it come. We about to get an ascension now. You know, or here it is, y'all. This happening. The shift is here. Really? When it just happened? When you just like, no? Like if the earth shifted into 5D, first and foremost, do you think you're actually going to live? Like, I'm like, that's one of the things that as soon as I actually even heard that concept, that was the first thing that popped up into my mind. Like, well, that's not a possible thing, because if the earth were to ascend into another dimension, vibrate from the vibratory level, everything here would change. And first and foremost, 95% of things would die. The only things that would technically probably be able to live is more than likely, if you melanated, your black and brown ass. This is not a race thing. This is just a truth thing. If you got some melanin, and that goes from all the way from the darkest African in Africa to the lightest Maori in New Zealand. You see, to the Wero in the hood, in the hood. And all my people who speak Spanish, they know what Wero is. To Wero, all the way to Wero, that's melanin. So what I'm saying is, y'all niggas would probably survive simply because of the fact that everything in melanin existed prior to the actual universe. Melanin is carbon, and carbon is the building block. So therefore, if that's the case, that would mean that you already got you were the builder. That's what Ptah or Pete is technically how it's pronounced. Pete, that's what he was. He was the craftsman. It was a form of melanin. That's why if you ever notice, Pete is always in a shrine, or he's always in a mummified state, but he's alive. You see what I'm saying? He's never actually doing anything. Like, you never actually see Pete like in motion. Like you'll see like Amun-Ra sitting at the throne. You'll see Horus walking. You'll see Anubis guiding you somewhere. You'll see Eraketai fighting something. You know what I'm saying? You'll see Tim sleeping. You know, like all these different gods and goddesses have functions. within the body and within the cosmos and within nature, obviously. As above, as below, as within, so without. So, with that being said, all these functionalities and things, once you forget what that shit means and you just looking at the names, oh man, you're screwed. And that's what we are doing, because we are learning from people that, again, and this doesn't go back to the race thing, but they weren't there. They weren't there. They didn't exist. That's the problem. It's not like, because it's not like I'm saying like, oh, because you weren't in that country, you technically don't know. Like, no, they did not exist as a people. That means that literally, by the time it's like, imagine, it's like no matter what, my little sister did not exist when Sega came out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so as much as I could tell her about Sega Saturn, Sega CD, the original Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and that's just me. I can't even tap into like Atari and like ColecoVision and stuff like that. Like, I don't even have those type of things to explain. So when that's being said, it's pretty much like this. When you think about it, because I can't even fathom trying to break down what these games meant to me as a kid in comparison to her when I had my PlayStation and I had my Nintendo 64 when she was born. You know what I'm saying? And then I had my Xbox as she was getting older. So by the time she was my age, when I was really playing video games, I had my Xbox at that point. So, and my PlayStation 2. So when it comes down to that, it's like, if these people didn't exist as a race, then how could they even explain to you what they were doing, what we were doing at that time? That's what I'm pretty much trying to say. Like, and that's what I mean by there needs to be a changing of the guard. Like, if you are melanated and you got some information, you need to be speaking. Because right now, what's happening is the ones who have the least amount of information is speaking the most. Out? Is he still here? Huh? Did the guy show up? Is he still in there? Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, you was thinking about this all night. That's crazy. Like, that's just what dumbfounds me personally. Like, I just like and what made me think about it was, I was watching this lady who has this TV show, and she wanted me to appear on her TV show. She's a doctor or whatever, and I'm hesitant about that because I know exactly what's going to happen if we do. Like, I would pretty much be putting myself in a predicament almost, only because this is not going to be an even battlefield. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like I don't want to say debate show, but you know, she interviews you, asks you questions, and I may be a little bit too controversial for things of that nature at this point. Now, once people get the chance to get used to me, then that's a little different. But what I will say is, she was talking about like how she couldn't be with a person who smokes weed or drinks alcohol because I forgot like the way she was explaining it. But she was just saying that, like, even occasionally smoking it, it affects your creativity and takes something out of you and of your it takes away from you achieving your true divinity. Now, what I will give her is, she did say, this is my truth and it's always going to be my truth. So I'll give her that. I'll give her that. Oh, Marlon out here? Hey, hit me up. DM me on that. So I will give her that portion of, love on that. But aside from that, I had to chime in and was like, yo, in ancient Egypt, or just any ancient culture, that's just alchemy. You wouldn't, if you have a drinking problem, you would technically need to regulate your drinking problem by ritualizing your drinking problem or ritualizing your marijuana problem. When you ritualize, I'm smoking here in this right now. Like when it comes down to ritual, once you ritualize these things, it's a whole different ballgame, because the mind then doesn't attach the energy to the actual action. So in alchemy, like for example, let's say I imagine water. Let's say I visualize that water every time I drink it, that this water is like the elixir to life, or even coffee, or anything, or like how I actually do with the true elixir, taking Canadian whiskey and London dry gin and mixing them together. You see what I'm saying? And drinking that straight. Those things don't, like, I do that, and I have literally drank that straight, like half a bottle of that, right? And was able to like continuously go around my day. Didn't even know that I was like actually at all. I forgot I had even drank it. And then I came home and ate something, and as soon as I ate it, I got that feeling like when you have been drinking all night, and then you eat something too heavy, and I threw it right up. And you know what I'm saying? Like the craziest thing about that to me is that I had never felt that from that. You know what I'm saying? Like usually when I feel that type of way, if I throw up from something like that, it's like I literally threw up from something like that. Like I'm talking about, I had probably at that point, you know how like you at that point you stumbling through the club, you know what I'm saying? You slurring your words. Like I didn't have no effect, as if I just basically was drinking water. You know what I'm saying? So it's all the way about how you look at things. If you look at something as being bad, then guess what? It's gonna be bad. If I looked at like I remember, and I know this for a fact because I remember as a kid, I didn't like the texture of cauliflower. So I remember I didn't like just the look of it. And my stepdad made me eat it one time. And I ate it, and I threw up. I threw up. Literally threw up right then and there. And because I didn't, in my mind had already made up the fact that, nah, this ain't good. This is not good. It's like doo-doo. Like if you see doo-doo on the floor, you know what I'm saying? You don't just automatically be like, chocolate? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe let's take a try. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you do. But the average person I've met doesn't do that. So I'm assuming you're part of that little collective of people. You know, like, there's certain things that if you automatically polarize it, then you have built a war against that side. So when people are saying love and light, all they're doing is just making anything they perceive to be hate and darkness, battle them. That's all they doing. Like that's the dumbest. It's the oldest trick in the book, actually. It's like when they say the greatest trick in the book was the devil making you think he exists. No, the greatest trick in the book was God making you think the devil existed. That's the trick. That's the true trick. The true trick was when God made you believe that the devil existed. They're the same thing. They are the exact same thing. There is no difference whatsoever. You're talking about a fucking magnet. To one side is the south end, which receives. The other side is the north end, which projects. Nothing. Or it's maybe the other way around, east and west. Who knows? But all you got is projection and reception, negative and positive, of a magnet. That is what we're talking about here. Electromagnetism. This is what this realm runs on. That's what the Egyptians explained. It's just that because niggas can't read hieroglyphs, we have forgotten. That's what I'm here for. To help remind you niggas that all of our power is within us. You know, and they got you believing in something outside of you that's imaginary. What type of shit is that? Do we even think? That's like a question that I think we need to ask ourselves as melanated people, because we are senile. I was talking to Bosco 100, and he was talking about how the girl that got slammed by the police a couple days ago or yesterday or something like that, how that's literally one of his best friends. And I told him, like, bro, we have to like think about something. We are slightly retarded. Like, she clearly just said, she says it on the video, like, they're getting detained for no reason about a $14 insurance paper that the girl had already paid for, and they showed it to him. And they still got detained, and his car being impounded. And she's talking all this stuff on the camera, right? And now, in my mind, I told him, like, bro, at that point, like, clearly they about to fuck with you. Like, if they doing some shit like that, they're going to fuck with you for sure. No doubt about it. Simply because of the fact that like, you already got proof that your shit is handled. And so they about to impound you. Like, most people, like, even if you got the proof and they still want to fuck with you, they'll just give you a fix-it ticket just to make you take time out your day to go to court. That's it. But they ain't going to impound your car. So the fact they impounding their car means they're really about to fuck with you. So why do you get on camera and talk shit to them? Why does your daughter walk away from the cop or pull away from the cop? You know what I'm saying? Why? If they gonna fuck with you then now they really about to fuck with you. And then she gonna say, get him the fuck off my daughter. And this nigga told her, ma'am, don't talk to me like that. That means that he think his badge makes him honorable. That means that anything they did is justified. Just like me dropping this pipe and my weed fell out. Gravity. It didn't break the pipe, just lost all my weed. Oh, but I found it, but I ain't gonna pick it off the ground. That's cool, I got more. That would be a lucky one. Oh, I remember I dropped one over here last night. So I'm put this in the pile too. So now we got the lucky stash for when niggas be like, ha ha ha. No, I don't know. I just make little rituals out of everything. Maybe the goddamn grasshoppers will eat it, get stoned. But what was I about to say? Totally forgot. Oh, so these scam motherfuckers be calling. Hey, so I got the new cap on the motherfucking scam niggas, right? So you know how they always call and be like, they always call and say, dope. They always call and say, I don't even know what the fuck they say because I don't even give them a chance. I just always hang up. So I got a new joint. So now I just pick up and I say Khensu Keku Spiritual Services, and they be like, I think I have the wrong number. They know they ain't getting no sales on no spiritual shit. Oh, let's hang this one up. Sir, do you know? Like, do you know about God? They're like, oh shit, we ain't getting nowhere with this. Shungite's great. Shungite is great. I mean, any type of natural energy that you can get a hold of is great. Organite is great. Malachite, you got lodestones, quartz, tourmaline. All those are good. Carnelian, lapis lazuli. All those are good energies you can lock into. The real key on it is you want to just, once you get it, you want to name it. You know what I'm saying? And make it yours. And Rob, you knew me since I like for people that don't know, I grew up in Flint, Michigan. And Rob has been like one of my closest friends since since we was shit, like in like 9, 10 type shit, like young niggas. So we go way back. So Rob, it's like when we used to make up stories and shit. Like remember when niggas would like be out there playing ball and something would happen and then we'd make a whole mythology off of like something that wasn't even real in the first, like just a crazy ass mistake. Like we just like imagine something. You know what I'm saying? Like when we used to do stuff like that, that's how you would want to approach once you get your shungite, naming it and giving it that life. You know what I'm saying? Like the shungite has been here since boom bam. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. Like I make everything a damn ritual. I was telling my boy, he came in earlier, I forgot how to say his name. I got Labios de Negra. Labios de Negra. I told him, I was like, dude, I ritualize everything. When I wake up, I say certain things. I walk in to the kitchen, I eat a certain food. I come out here, I sun gaze, and then when I sun gaze, I see and hummingbird flew by. That's a ritual to me. Every time a hummingbird or any type of bird fly by, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm dropping a good message, especially hummingbirds because they travel at the speed of light. So I know that's not technically true, but anyway, maybe they do. I don't know. We have to look that one up, but I don't believe so. Because then, if they do, I got incredible vision. Because I can hear them and then know where they about to be, and then like look up and then I'll see them. But that's just me because I know I'm tapped in with them. But ritualizing everything. The first law of the Kabbalion is the all is mind, the universe is mental. You see what I'm saying? The all is mind, the universe is mental. So when you hear people be like, oh, I heard this girl earlier, she was doing tarot card reading. She gonna say, oh, universe, show me what card I need to pull for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bitch, you leaving this up to the universe? That's where my tarot card reading ends. This bitch leaving this shit up to the goddamn universe. Nigga, anybody can answer that call. Anybody can answer that. That's like a girl saying, yeah, you know, I've been wanting to have sex with a police officer. I don't know anybody in the police officers personally, so I'm just call the police office. And the first nigga that pick up, I'm just gonna throw it to. Imagine this like old ass man. It's like is the one who picked up. You know what I'm saying? You know. But Rob, what I was saying is, hold on. What I was saying is, when we would make up like random scenarios from things that would happen, like right now, like me and you talking out, and like I'm breaking everything down, and you just happen to get a call and missed everything. Like that could be part of when you get your shungite. That could be part of its mythology. You know what I'm saying? Like you see, like just because that happened, you could actually use that energy and guide it into a purpose. You know, that's one of the strengths of being able to tap into the mind, because everything here is a memory. Just off of the simple fact, like I say, a person knows their name. Know the fact I know how to do this. You know, that's memory. Because it's not like I'm like saying, okay, from my right brain, move my left leg. From my left brain, move my right leg. Like just even by doing that, I just almost failed. Like because it's taking too damn long to even explain. Right brain, left leg. left brain, right leg. Nobody's going around doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything here is a memory. So once you learn how to direct the memories and the emotion behind them, you can start to see if these memories are repetitious. You see? And once you pick up that pattern, now you're on to something. Now you're on to something. Once you can look at the subconscious, through the subconscious mind, at the symbology of something and see if the memory itself is repetitious and the emotion with that memory is repetitious, then you're on to something. Because now at that point you got something that's called what people call karma. It's not something, it's not really karma. It's called a shadow. So basically there's things that you hide within your subconscious mind. It's like when you was leaning back in the chair in high school, and the teacher was like, stop leaning back in the chair, but you kept leaning back in the chair, and then you fall and bust your ass and everybody laugh. You forget that when you're 37. You know what I'm saying? But that shit that embarrassing moment is still in your subconscious mind. So every time you start to lean back in the chair, and you start to slip, you end up pulling yourself forward like, who almost fell. Almost failed. Because the thing that reminds you is that embarrassing moment in first grade when you bust your ass. That's how the mind works. You see, like we have these things that literally you just bury them. You bury them, and you totally forget. It's like anything, especially. I deal with that a lot when I'm dealing with people in my class that are women, because a lot of them have dealt with like being sexualized, rather sexual assault or just being sexualized. You know what I'm saying? Just like looked at as a piece of meat. So there's a lot of things that may have happened to them that they have buried deep within their subconscious mind that they don't even realize they're doing it. And you'll see that a lot on like Instagram when you look at these chicks that's always naked or always got their ass out or just doing anything that's like extra. You know what I'm saying? Like how they be moving their head and touching their hair and like pulling their hair behind it. All that in the filters and all those type of things are literally just, they're programs. They're programs. It's programmed through the subconscious mind to do symbolic things repetitiously with the same emotional reaction. So that the conscious mind basically just goes along with it. You know, anytime you challenge it, the first thing that happens is you get busted in the ass. That's why it's like, I don't care that I don't have, like, people be like tripping out that I don't have tens of thousands of followers. It's like, because I didn't buy them. I didn't buy them. And even if the person did not buy their followers, they still bought them through their actions. Through their actions, they still bought them. And what I mean by that is, I don't care if I offend you. I truly don't. And I don't care if you offend me. I truly don't. I don't care if you come in with information that disproves my information. If you got a resource, I will thankfully take it, and I will apologize to you if we actually talking this in public, because I'm not emotionally attached to information that, you know, as far as I give a fuck, it only works how I apply it. So you giving me more resources to apply things in a manner that's more beneficial, thank you. You ain't doing shit for me. You know what I'm saying? You're not harming me. The ego has been detached a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? I am not attached to this human shit. Y'all can keep it. You know? And that's what they're content to do. That's what they're content to do. That 5D shit is basically, in my mind, the 5D concept. Yeah, Rob, I teach classes on all this. I love you too, Intimate. Much love, much love. But like, we need to like really all be able to look within. That's why my website that I'm working on is called We Who Go Within. That's the name of the website, wewhogowithin.com. You know, because where I got that actual terminology is actually an epithet in ancient Egypt of Set. Of Set, because Set basically he was they judged him. He was judged, so like he always had to look within to have his inner strength, because they was judging him all the time, but he was the strongest one out of all of them. So he was technically the only one that could stop the serpent Apep. See how that shit worked? Same story as Jesus. Everybody talks shit about Jesus, dude rocks at him, all that shit in that story, but yet everybody's waiting for him to come back. Niggas waited till he was dead to write a whole book about him. Of course, you know, thousands of years later, but that's a different historical aspect, because that's not the living Jesus that I'm talking about. If we're talking about Yahashua, then we're talking a different story. Because Yahashua said, nigga, I'm not coming back. He said, I'm mad I'm down here in the first place. Y'all brought me back again to answer some questions that y'all niggas ain't even asking anymore. So now I'm down here on a bunk ass mission in this bunk ass body dealing with y'all dumbass motherfuckers that's been listening to stories about me that from people that didn't even know me. And if you want to get more into that, all you gotta do is look up the Gospel of Thomas. It was a book that was completely left out of the Bible. This nigga was pissed that he was down here. He's like, shame on y'all for having me down here in this fucking filth. He said, whoever discovers the universe, whoever discovers the world had discovered a carcass. But he said, but whoever discovered the carcass, the world isn't even worthy of. So he's like basically saying, whoever even was born here was born into something that's gonna die. But if you've already realized that this shit down here itself is death, then this shit ain't even worthy of you. You got more power than it. You see? Gospel of Thomas, the Nag Hammadi, the stuff that was left out of the Bible. That's why it's called the Book of Job, the Book of Revelations, the Book of this, because they were actual books. So you are reading and believing in one book when there was technically multiple books that they just edited and cut down. All you gotta do is look up the Council of Nicaea. I'm not talking nothing that I don't have a resource to. It's called proof. It's called evidence. Now, what you need to do is have logic at this point. That fake shit been getting y'all niggas fucked up since the 90s. Actually longer than that. Shit. Since the 1800s. You believing in a Greek mythology masquerading a Greek and Roman mythology masquerading as a Hebrew mythology, which is all sourced from an ancient Egyptian mythology. You see what I'm saying? That's what got your ass been fucked up since the 1800s. Ignorance of thyself. That's why everybody in those Egyptian halls are black. When you go to the ancient ones, they're black. All the gods, all the goddesses, all the kings, all the queens, all the people. But yet, who goes there the most often? And then who stays there now? Not your black and brown asses. You see? Because everybody else that came afterwards, if they technically could not live in the land of the sun, which is pretty much blonde hair, blue eyed people, because they hair can't absorb that, and their skin can't absorb UV rays and gamma rays, so it gives them cancer, and their eyes refract light, so they see in a lower version, and it gives them melanoma over time. That's why people have sunglasses, and that's why sunblock exists. If you actually look up yourself, what is called eumelanin for black and brown people, basically we actually need the sun because our eumelanin feeds off of UV rays and gamma rays. It actually feeds it and transmutes for the free radicals into like neutrons or some shit like that, which then boosts your neuromelanin, which actually helps your pineal and your pituitary gland. So when you watch that movie Lucy, that's what that shit does. That's why they were talking about Ra. That's why they were in the sun. That's why they were doing their rituals in the fucking sun. It had nothing to do with the fucking sun. It was the fact that when the sun is in the zenith, our energy is getting the most energy. That's why they give you lunch breaks at work, but they're only an hour. You see, that's a system because you don't have enough time. Unless you technically, like myself, if you know these things, you can just heat up your food and go outside and have lunch. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know these, what you thinking about is, me and my friend, we about to go to lunch together. We're going to go sit down and at fucking Popeyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of crap. You know? Yeah, we are a working solar panel. I'm glad you said that. Exactly. That, like for example, all you gotta do is look at plants. It's called chlorophyll. Melanin and chlorophyll are the exact same thing. The only difference is one is for a plant and one is for your body. If you actually look up how they work, they have the exact same functionality, 100%. Anything you give a plant, it will chemically bind itself to that and then produce itself from there with that chemical inbound. Same thing as your melanin. Anything you give it. So if you drink some alcohol on goddamn Sunday, by Tuesday, your melanin is now producing melanin with alcohol in it. So you actually will get drunk in your system first, which later on Tuesday, when you hit Taco Tuesday, you're going to want a beer. See how that works? That's why in the hoods, guess what you got? Beer and drugs. Alcohol and drugs. Because they know that your melanin is going to be attached to it. That's why white people go to rehab, them niggas come out clean and a whistle. They don't have no melanin. It doesn't even attach to nothing. Now, if they got brown hair, that's a whole different ball game. Or red hair, that's a whole different ball game. Because then that means that basically, at some point, they had an ancestor that was completely black. You see what I'm saying? And that they themselves had just moved into a different location where the sun was getting different amounts of light. You know what I'm saying? Then you working with a different ball game right now. But the blonde hair, blue eye was that means that we know this from a science level. They all have one ancestor, and that ancestor has only existed for 10,000 years. So that means that they're technically all family. They're all family, which makes a lot of sense now. It makes a lot of sense. If all blonde hair, blue eyed, white people, and this is science talk. We talking now, so don't look it up. We got resources here. We got resources and scholarship behind this now. They say that they all have one ancestor in common. Okay, so that means that technically there was a woman that had sex with her brother or son, one of the two, because the mitochondrial DNA comes from the woman, so that's the one ancestor. So that would mean that it would have to have been like the closest to her kin, which would have to be her son or her brother, right? Which is the Adam and Eve story. But the Adam and Eve story predates all that whole concept, but they got that story from that. With Cain and Abel, because it's like, well, where did they kids come from? Oh, so Cain was fucking the mama, or technically Seth would have had to be, because Seth didn't have a. But if you read the original story, you understand that they were born twins. So like, Adam had not Adam, Cain had a twin, and Abel had a twin, and Cain married Abel's twin, and Abel married Cain's twin. That's how the original story goes, if you read the Nag Hammadi. Then once they got it, the Council of Nicaea actually went and wrote the Bible. They took all that out. So that's why it doesn't make sense. Like, well, how did they have kids if there was no other kids with them? You see, like, that would have meant motherfucker for real. Like, for real, in that aspect. Maybe that might be where the term came from. Who knows? But who knows? So what it is I got 8 minutes, so I'm gonna do a Q&A, small Q&A. So if you guys have questions, feel free, but I'm just gonna continue along on this small section right here. But basically what happened is they have manipulated the system so much through so many different things that we are starting to think that we should be living as like them. You see what I'm saying? So like me, I don't have any, like, this is the thing, I don't have anything against white people at all in any aspect of life, but I don't have anything like for them either. You see what I'm saying? It's like that's just me being truthful. It's like the only thing we owe y'all is technically an ass whooping. That's just being real. Like the fact that niggas at mass, and I'm talking about, when I say niggas at mass, I'm talking about Japanese people, people who have ever been colonized by the European, should be hanging them and their children the way they did us. That's neither here nor there. But I'm just saying, the fact that we're not shows that we got more compassion than y'all ever did. Because y'all put it in newspapers and all types of shit. So that means that our heart chakra clearly is vibrating on a whole nother level. And that's fine, because where we go after this, they can't, because they were created here and we predate all this shit. So that's a whole different ball game. So while you keep trying to assimilate to their systems or keep trying to make them your friend, in reality, the ones that's my friend, because I got a lot of white friends actually, all of them know I say whatever I say in front of them or not, and don't give a fuck how they feel, simply because what I say, nigga, I got resources to back it up. It ain't got shit to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Read this and tell me if you get something different from it. Because if you do, clearly I'm missing it, because what it says what I'm saying. They have only been here for 10,000 years. There's resources. All you gotta do is get Forbidden Archaeology. That book, there's plenty of books. Look up the Dorchester Pot. We have been on this earth in America for 600 million years, player. Since Pangea, player. So what the fuck are we even talking about? You're talking about a child, an infant at this point, which existed for 10,000 years in comparison to you who have been here for 600 million years. How do I know that it's melanated people? Well, let's see. They had they found in the Dorchester pot in where Dorchester, Massachusetts. They found when they were building Meeting Hill, they blew up the hill, and they found a pot, and it's almost like the size of like a small vase, and it's completely zinc. I'm gonna take that back. It is completely zinc, and the inside of it is silver, and it has all these little plants and things of that nature, which all the plants are extinct for hundreds of millions of years, for one, and then they got all these little hieroglyphs on it, right? That means that not only were we already here in America 600 million years ago, we already knew how to mold metal using fire 600 million years ago, and it was so much in an abundance that we were using zinc and silver. When the last time you got a zinc vase? First of all, when the last time you seen anything zinc? When the last time you seen a zinc anything that was just like sitting around? Like, yeah, I got this zinc table, Hey, want to go sit on my zinc table over here? Or want to go eat on the zinc? You know what I'm saying? Like, the closest thing you get to zinc is the sink, nigga. That's the closest thing you get to zinc is the sink. So the fact that had existed 600 million years ago, molding metal, you know what I'm saying? And then you talk about the pyramids, and you talk about the Sphinx. You talk about all these things that have existed for millions of years that people can't explain. I can. Melanin. Melanin. We are the most creative people in the world. Nigga, if I fucking started wearing one shoe on the other, if like Crisscross wore their clothes backwards. And do you know that people wore their clothes backwards? You see what I'm saying? Like, everything we do, people eventually just copy it. That's why you see white people with dreadlocks, but they roots be straight in the motherfucker. Straight in the motherfucker. These things is just, it dumbfounds me only because I'm so inquisitive. You see? I'm very inquisitive. So it's like anything that I can't understand, I want to understand why I don't understand it. Therefore, then I can understand how it works. Because that's what I'm more interested in, how something works. It's like girls think like I care about like, oh, how they look, how they do this, how they do that. No, bitch, I care how your mind works. I want to know what makes you tick. That's my concept. I want to know what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what makes you smile, what makes you sad. Simply so I know what to do and what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works. And it should be the same way. And we got 45 seconds, y'all. But it should be the same way. And that's one thing that I think that we don't understand when we get into this divine feminine thing. The divine feminine, when these girls do the sisterhood meetings and all that, where it's just all women, no men allowed, that's funky. That's funky shit, and that's patriarchal, actually. It's actually honoring the masculine, because masculine separates one from the other. Feminine actually makes everything androgynous. It's just held by feminine energy, and the masculine energy is within. All right? Khensu Keku.